Hey guys, Jeremy from Lorehound. We're here at PAX West 2016. I'm here with Jesse Rapsack, the co-founder and co-creative director for ARK. Apparently you guys are dropping a brand new expansion that's going to completely change things. So what can you tell our guys about that?
Well, Scorched Earth is the first expansion for ARK Survival Evolved. You know, since we started developing the game, we've added a lot of content. We've been putting our features in going towards launch. One of the features that we've always promised people is large expansions to the game. Not just a map, not just a few dinos or a few items here or there. Large expansions that change some of the game mechanics, add new creatures, add new things like weather events, new places to explore. In the case of Scorched Earth, we've got not just a map that's the size of the island, it's all desert biomes. You've got different types of structures that are suited to that biome, like wind generators. You've got water wells because water is scarce. Oil veins as well exist, so we've got oil pumps to get oil out of the water. The wind generators help, the wind turbines when there's not a bunch of oil around. We've got sandstorms that completely obscure your vision, make it hard to move around. We've got localized electrical storms that happen in 5 regions of the map. So we got that. We've also got Wyverns, dragon creatures, and these are a new feature addition to the game that can't be tamed. You have to raise them from babies, and to get those eggs, you have to venture into the Dragon Trench, which is a very imposing area where they hang out. That's where they live, and you got to steal an egg. You have to raise the baby on wyvern milk. So it's a challenging thing to get one of these creatures. So
all right, so going back to the weather system just for a second. So basically you're saying that the weather is going to be a lot more detrimental, right? It's going to play a bigger role in what you're doing.
That's right.
I know playing in the demo here, I got some creature that tells you about the weather. So how does that one work?
That's right. That's our jerboa creature. Cute little guy. I mean, they're really cute. They come in a lot of colors and varieties. Pretty easy to get. They're like a smarter dodo in a lot of ways. They're all over the place, but they actually have an innate sense for how the weather's going to change. And you know, if you've got incoming rain or a heat stroke coming through, or sorry, a heat wave coming through, or one of the sandstorms or electrical storms, they play a different animation and warn you ahead of time. So if you got them on your shoulder and you see them start whimpering and looking around, you know that means the rainstorm's coming. So these creatures add a little bit of variety to the game. They're a little bit smarter than kind of your average dodo you might find on the island, but they're also still good if you're looking for some hide or some meat out in the desert. These things are pretty easy to catch, whether you want a pet or you need a meal.
Yeah, and so in terms of the weather and clothing and armor and things like that, I know in the snow biome you could get fur and things like that. So is there stuff like this that'll help you survive some of these types of weather, or is it mostly the structures? Yeah,
we also have a few clothing items actually that are unique to the desert. We've got a whole desert gear set that really helps you with the extremes of the desert weather. We also have some gear that you can get for defeating the new boss. There's the desert environment is littered with a lot of history and lore that's not in the island yet. There's caves and leftover ruins from civilizations that have tried to rise up and fall here in the desert. So there's some, ancient armor that's made in devotion to the Manticore boss, that you can find, and cool shields and skins for different weapons that are in the base game as well. So there's quite a lot of new clothing type things available in the expansion.
Okay. All right, so going back to the Wyverns, which I loved, immediately went and grabbed my friend and dropped them. So you mentioned, you have to raise them from a baby, from an egg, right?
Yep.
And you mentioned the milk. So like a chicken and egg, how do you get the milk to raise the baby, and how's all this work?
Well, you got to get it from a live wyvern, so you've got to knock out an adult one, steal some of their milk, and use it to raise the baby.
So not only do you have to grab an egg and hope the parents aren't around, then you've got to knock the parents out and take some of the milk.
Yep.
Okay.
And you're going to have to keep doing that to keep the baby growing and healthy. So it is not an easy task.
Yeah. Well, great, great risk and great reward, right?
Yeah.
So okay. So anything else that's interesting, like any new structures or anything that people should be checking out here?
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things. We got a tent you can throw down when the weather's getting bad, or you need to not freeze at night. So we've got that structure. We've got a lot of new, the Adobe set is interesting because while it's relatively easy to construct things, it also has the big game features like the giant dino gates and stuff like that, and large walls, so that you're able to build those type of things out in the desert. And then when it comes to exploring the environment and like looking at the stuff that's been in the game weapon-wise, there's new skins for that you can find around and get. Like the torch has a new skin, spear has a new skin, and then there's just some new weapons all up. You've got a boomerang now that you can craft. It really applies a lot of torpor and comes back to you after you hit a target with it. We've got flamethrowers.
Nice.
You know, there's all sorts of. We've got new goggles for part of the desert gear that let you see through the sandstorm when it gets intense. You know, we got a new sword that's a manticore style Chinese sword. So there's just a lot,
tons of stuff.
Lots of stuff. I can't even remember it all. There's over 50 new items.
So is this, you know, like a new map that you start a brand new character in and that's it? Or
no, you can bring over your character from the island. Each server has a pair now of the island and Scorched Earth.
Okay.
So you can travel from the island to Scorched Earth. Right now, since we just launched it, you know, one of the things we want to try to figure out in early access is the balance of bringing things back and forth. And so what we did was allowed you to take your character to Scorched Earth, but you can only bring things back from Scorched Earth to the island right now. Eventually we might enable full-on transfers all ways, but this also is interesting too because when we create large expansions like this for Ark, we want nothing to become obsolete. We want players always playing new content, and that's why you're able to bring stuff back to the island, give it to your friends who don't have the expansion, use it in your tribe, whatever. Dinosaurs, items, none of the stuff that's actually in the expansion requires you to purchase the expansion.
That's awesome.
For Ark, we want our expansions to always cross-pollinate with the base game and everybody to have access to them and kind of keep the game fresh and keep new stuff happening that changes the universe all up.
Okay. And you mentioned like several items and engrams and things like that. In terms of dinosaurs, you can bring the eggs back, or can you bring the actual dinosaurs back?
You can bring your
too?
dinosaurs back.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how that's going to change some of the balance of power on some of the servers.
We are too. That's why it's an early access thing.
Nice, nice. All right, so expansion's already out. You guys get out there, check it out right now. Let's have some fun. Jesse, thanks for your time.
Thanks for your time too. Excited to see what people think.